How do you actually choose the right Sony camera? Well, all you have to do is ask yourself some of these questions. Is my priority photo or video? Do I care about the size of the camera and how portable it is? What kind of content am I actually going to be making with this camera? And how soon will I outgrow it? Meaning, when will I start bumping against the boundaries of the limitations of that particular camera model? And when you can answer all of these questions honestly, then the answer becomes obvious of which model you should buy. For our entry-level APS-C hybrids, we're talking about the A6000 series of cameras. The A6000, A6100, A6400 are all pretty old models, which means you can find them for a really cheap price, but you're also going to be limited on them not having IBIS, them having older sensors, no AI abilities, having Sony's older autofocus system, and just kind of being a little bit of an older camera. The ZV-E10 is a great starter camera. You're gonna be able to find this for a more affordable price because it is an older model. It has the same sensor as the A6100 and A6400. So it's gonna have that older autofocus system and just some of that older features that you can find in the older model of Sony cameras. But if you're starting out with a really low budget, these are still great because you're still getting an excellent image, you're learning how to use a camera, and these are great for beginners. But then when you move up to the E10 II, this has the same sensor as the A6700 and the FX30. Then you move into the A6700, which is a little bit of a newer camera that does have IBIS, does have some of the newer autofocus features and AI features that's in some of the newer Sony cameras. The problem here is that it does start to get a little bit more expensive. This is for beginners that are wanting to take it a little bit more serious and have a little bit more budget to work with. You have to remember that these APS-C entry-level hybrid cameras are all about the learning process. You've got to start somewhere and you can always level up after you get started. I started with a little Canon Rebel SL2. It's the really old little bitty camera, entry-level model, and that's kind of the same concept as some of these cameras. Then when you're ready, you can upgrade to that next category of those full frame hybrids. The A7 III, A7 IV, A7 V, A7C, A7C II. Now with the A7 III, it is quite older. So again, you're gonna have that old menu system, some of these older features, slower autofocus, but still a capable camera that produces a great image. Then moving to the A7 IV, this is such a classic powerhouse of a camera. Yes, it's a few years old, but it's still one of the most widely used Sony mirrorless cameras in their lineup. It has great video, great autofocus. The only downsides kind of being it doesn't have that AI chip and some of the newer features in the Sony cameras. And it does have a crop in some of the video modes like 4K 60. That's where you could upgrade to the A7 V that just came out that gives you all of the latest things in all of the Sony cameras, including the new cool tilty transformy screen, as well as the AI chip and a bunch of really cool new features. But I have another video up here talking more about the A7 V if you want to check it out in more detail. But then you also have the A7C and the A7C II. And the C just stands for compact. This is basically the exact same camera as the A7 IV, smushed down into a smaller camera body. The A7C is a little bit older, whereas the A7C II is newer, has the AI chip and the faster autofocus and some of those newer features. The A7C has the same internals as the A7 III, and the A7C II has the same internals as the A7 IV. I love my A7C II, I mentioned that earlier. It gets the job done, has excellent 4K. The autofocus is just unbeatable with that AI chip, and I haven't had any problems with overheating. So this category of the full frame hybrids is the do-it-all cameras. It's professional level without killing your budget. The cameras that get the job done for photo or for video. And for a lot of creators, this will actually be the tier of Sony cameras that you get to and you just pretty much stop, because this does everything that you need it to do. These cameras are for YouTubers, freelancers, travel filmmakers, and solo creators. Pretty much anyone that needs good photo and video, these are the perfect cameras. Then we move to those video first cameras, the FX line. The FX30, like we talked about earlier, is probably the best value for the money. But it is APS-C, which means you are a little bit limited in low light performance and that depth of field, but it has all of the new video features that you would need. And this is for creators that are really serious about video. Then you move to the FX2, which is full frame. And this is more of that hybrid bridge between more of the Alpha line and the Cinema line. This is a newer model camera with some of those new Sony features built into it, as well as that adjustable viewfinder. And again, it's geared a little bit more towards being hybrid, where you could do photos with it. And then with the ZV-E10, you're getting the same sensor that's in the FX3 and the A7S III. And what's cool with the ZV-E10 is it actually has some of those newer AI features that the FX3 doesn't even have. But of course, the FX3 is going to be better with heat dissipation, and it's built to be rigged out a little bit better and just more durable in general as far as build goes, because the ZV-E10 is smaller. But it still packs that incredible low light performance with dual base ISO, and of course that 4K 10-bit all the way up to 120 frames per second. And then you have the FX3, which is kind of the ultimate video first camera in this lineup, where it's super compact, it's perfect for video, it's incredible in low light, but the downside is that it is super expensive. So this is for solo filmmakers that are very serious about video and wanting the highest video quality possible. And also in this category is kind of where you would include the A7S III or the A7S line of cameras. Sony hasn't done a lot with this category in a while, but these are video first cameras. They've kind of moved into making the FX line instead of the A7S line. But the A7S III is the exact same sensor as the FX3. So that's why these cameras are comparable. They're video first cameras. And then for our high resolution and specialty cameras, such as the A7R line, these cameras are going to be geared for high resolution and detail. So maybe studio photographers or landscape photographers that want to have that extra flexibility of massive resolution to work with, or really overkill for video because of the resolution being so high. Then you've got the A9 series, which has that full frame stacked sensor. This is going to be the ultimate camera for speed and for sports photography. Video is definitely not a priority with this camera, but for sports and wildlife, this may be the ultimate specialty camera. Then you have the A1, which is full frame stacked. This is kind of has everything. It's the best specs of any of the Sony cameras. The limitation here, or the stop sign if you will, is the price, because it's stupidly expensive. But this is for those creators, the ultimate professionals that wants the everything camera, and it costs everything. Now let's do a complete rundown of which Sony cameras use the same sensor, because there is a lot of crossover. And with the cameras having the same sensor, it doesn't mean that they're the exact same camera. They still come with different features, a different body, have different use cases, and are built for different things. But the same sensor will indicate that the image will be very close between the cameras that share that sensor. So let's deep dive this. Let's start with that older A6000 line. The A6100, A6400, and A6600, along with the ZV-E10, all share the same 24.2 megapixel APS-C sensor. Then the A6700, the ZV-E10 II, and the FX30 all share a 26 megapixel APS-C sensor. Then we move into full frame sensors, where first of all, you have the A7 III and the A7C that share a 24.2 megapixel full frame sensor. Then you have the A7 IV and the A7C II that share the same full frame 33 megapixel sensor. The A7 V has a new full frame partially stacked 33 megapixel sensor. The A7S III, the FX3, the ZV-E10, and even the FX6, which we didn't talk about, all share the same 12 megapixel full frame sensor. The A7R4, the A7R5, and the A7CR all share the same full frame 61 megapixel sensor. Then you have the A9 and the A9 II that both share a 24.2 megapixel stacked full frame sensor. And the A9 III is in a class of its own, and it has a 24.6 megapixel global shutter full frame sensor. Then you have the A1 and the A1 II, which both have a full frame 50.1 megapixel stacked sensor. So that kind of gives us a bigger picture understanding of the different Sony cameras and which sensors that they actually share. Now let's talk about these cameras from the perspective of budget. If your budget is under $800, go with one of those APS-C hybrid cameras that's in the entry-level category. If your budget is between $1,000 to $2,500, this is where you could hit something like the A6700, the A7 III, the A7 IV, the A7C II, or even the FX30. And if your budget is over $2,500, you could get something like the FX2, the FX3, or one of those specialty model cameras. And if for some reason you have over $6,000 to spend on a camera, buy the A1. So anyway, This was just a more deep dive look at the cameras in the Sony lineup to help you make a better buying decision. Whether you're deciding based on the features, based on what your needs are, based on what you're going to be shooting, or just based on your budget. Hopefully this helps answer that question a little bit better for you. And if you like this video and found some value in it, be sure to check out my gear playlist right over here where I go in depth like this, talking about more types of cameras and gear.